What's up, guys and gals, and welcome to Just One Line, a text-based RPG. Not really like text-based, though, because there's graphics and everything like that, too. But it's kind of a game where you read a lot, so if you're not a fan of reading, then, I don't know, you should probably get on that. That seems like something that should be rectified. But anyways, welcome to Just One Line, a game about, essentially, being an RPG character and making kind of choose-your-own-adventure choices. Now, you may have noticed from the title, this is a sponsored video, so at the beginning, I'm just going to let you know that this is for entertainment purposes only. This is not to be used as any type of review or critique or anything like that. It's just a gameplay video so that we can check the game on out and see what's happening with it. So if you wanted to get the game after this video, I've got the link for you down below, but let's get kicking. We got a lot of ground to cover and not a lot of time to do it in. Adventure, I'm going to go with adventure number 2 because it's blue. I don't like red. That's a hostile color. Yellow, if it's like a gold yellow, I'm down with that, but that's kind of like a, that's not the yellow that I'm going with the blue. We're going to go with there's no green, which is my favorite color, and so unfortunately, it's just not there. As you can see, this game is actually, you can make your own quests and your own adventures for this game as well. That was one of the features that they recently added. The game's currently in early access. I think they've also got it translated over into pretty much every language, well, a lot of languages, okay? They've got like 5 or 6 new languages that the game's been translated into, just in case you wanted to play it in your home native tongue. Let's jump into a new game here. Then we get to make our character. Welcome to the tutorial. Let's choose our race and then click the OK button. Well, what kind of race do we want to be? I can be a human. I can be an elf. We're definitely not going to pick an elf. We can be a dwarf, or we can be an orc. We're going to be an orc. We have to be an orc. Now we got to choose our background among those we may have unlocked. Okay, and then lastly, you have a point for improving your attributes. Once the message is closed, you can change your adventure and their appearance. Well, we're good with a whole bunch of factions. The Hounds like us. The Barons like us. The Magi Council, we've got some points in. Clan Bloody Sail, not so happy about the fact that I peed on their barroom floor that one time. So unfortunately, kind of a persona non grata over there with their bouncers. But hey, kind of is what it is. Is the orc locked right now? Oh man, I wanted to be an orc. I wanted to be an orc. Well, like, who can I be then? Oh, apparently everything's locked except for humans, so we'll start out as just a regular old nerdy human. We'll be a white guy, we'll have like some, I don't know, like some scruffy hair that looks like a hat, maybe? There we go. Then he seems like a little bit of a dewberry, but it'll be okay. We gotta have, ooh, we can have like mutton. Ooh, I'm gonna go with the mustache. That's what Splatty's gonna do. We're gonna have like a manly man, I'll fight you in the bar mustache. We look like we pick up, well, not very many of them, but we look like we pick up those old barbells from like the 1910s that were just big circles on a stick. That looks like what we lift right now. On top of that, we can make ourselves better at a stat. So we can be wit, we can be cunning. Let's be diplomatic. I'm gonna talk my way through problems. That sounds like a good plan. We can go with Immersive Mode. The game won't display any metagame info, but you will be able to send your character to the online leaderboard when you retire them. Or we get some metagame info to ease our game experience, however, we can't use them for the leaderboard. Let's go with Immersive Mode. That seems to be the way that the game is meant to be played, and since we're showing the game off right now, we should probably play it in that manner. This is the armory. You can use it to gear up before embarking on your quest. Click on the armory. What do we have over here? We've got a weapon, and it looks like a pitchfork, or a club, or a sickle, or a dagger. Pretty much the only things that we can have for right now. Those are the only things that I see on the list. How much money do I have? How much moolah am I carrying around? 100, so I can't afford that. Let's go with a club then. We'll just go with a basic beat stick right there. Is there any armor or anything I can have? I can have padded armor, or a settler's suit. Does the settler's suit do anything for me? It looks like it gives me cunning and hit points. Whereas the padded armor gives me power and hit points. Let's go with padded armor right there. I'm going to go in kitted up for war this time around. This is the retirement area. When you think your adventurous time has come, you can click here to unlock races and backgrounds that you may have stashed. Also, you'll be able to send your adventure to the online leaderboard. Okay. And so let's get down to business here. These are the quests. Do I equip that stuff from right here? Like, let's say that I wanted to... Oh, it automatically equips it. So there's our guy right there. I love the fact that we get this little paper doll over here, this little 3D rendering of what our character looks like in his armor. I don't like imagining with my brain because I'm not imaginative, and so I need you to show me what things look like. Otherwise, I get very confused and caught up in colors and things like that. It's a bad place to be, all right? And that's not where I want to be. We have a missing child. To all adventurers, a child has gone missing from a small village in the hills. The Tricked Witch Fellowship is ready to give a reward in gold to whoever finds the child and gives us information about his mysterious vanishing. Okay, we've also got trouble with bandits on this side. We've got fist fights in the tavern, rascals and delinquents have been amassing in my tavern for several days, participating in clandestine brawls organized by a notable stonecutter dwarf. I need someone who can teach him a lesson or at least convince him to stop by any means necessary. They are wrecking my tavern. Elven tequila shots for only 3 coins on Wednesdays. You just got to get that advertisement in there, man. It's hard to be self-employed and run a business. You got to sneak in the advertisement whenever you can. Let's go help out with this quest. I'm sure bad things won't happen as we break up an underground fight club. So we've got a panel that shows our statistics right there. That's pretty sweet. I'll probably keep that open. We've also got a guidebook. A small crowd of yokels and scoundrels is gathered in the center of the inn. They've apparently knocked over tables and stools to make room for 2 men that are brawling in the middle. They're making a mess. And all around them, all sorts of people are cheering for one or the other, betting rudely and annoyingly, cursing and burping. 2 other men lying down try to recover from what seems to have been a sound beating in the ring. 2 more contestants, also quite drunk, just began a new fight, rallying the people inside the inn even more. Judging by his apparel, one of them must be a stonecutter, a burly middle-aged dwarf with fists as big as his head, and clearly more devoted to fighting than commerce. The other is a young boy with pale skin and very dark hair, wearing a long robe, definitely too wide for his skinny body. Let's go ahead and we will find the guards. You head for the nearest guard tower, but when you arrive, you find 3 shield brothers, 2 of them dead, while the third, a skinny blonde kid, is in a confused state. He's soaked with blood of his companions. Despite the blood in the darkness, you're able to ascertain he's a simple recruit just by looking at his uniform. Poor kid, that's probably not the best way to begin your military career. What happened? The kid doesn't seem to remember anything, and he's babbling nonsense. Okay, let's go back to the inn then. I don't think he's going to be a whole lot of help. Let's go ahead and, well, after all, it's none of your business. You have a job to do. You return to the inn a little winded. So what's my power right now? My power is at 2. Okay, we got 2. Let's go ahead and intervene peacefully. You use your brilliance. So this is a notification that prompts us and lets us know that something is happening. We've got a branching path. You use your brilliant diplomatic skills, also helped by the high level of intoxication in the current crowd. Unfortunately, they aren't really interested in words. They probably didn't even hear you with all of the uproar, and the 2 contenders continue to fight. Let's go ahead and intervene. You throw yourself into the mix, trying to stop the fight. You manage to interfere, knocking out the dwarf, and the boy runs away. Let's go ahead and speak with the dwarf. The dwarf doesn't really want to talk. The punch dazed him, but he's too proud to give in. He barely manages to stand up, and while faltering a little, inches his way towards you, ready to fight. You carefully observe his moves, trying to find a weak point. His abdomen is mighty and his center of gravity low. Hitting him in the stomach doesn't seem like a great idea. The stonecutter tends to hit with a right hook, leaving his left guard wide open. Furthermore, he drank quite a lot and doesn't seem very stable on his legs. Let's go ahead and move to the side and get him on the left. Your hit doesn't surprise him. The stonecutter tends to protect his right guard. He skillfully parries your punch and hits you in the face with a colossal punch. Ouch. The stonecutter arrogantly laughs. He advances, swinging blindly. He has to stop every other punch to catch his breath. You also seem to notice that he seems to be looking at a jug of beer to your left. He's got to be thirsty, and you need to make your move. Let's maybe give him the beer? Great idea. The drunken, thirsty dwarf doesn't realize it's a trap. He comes forward to grab the jug, but you hit him as hard as you can. Your adversary is exhausted, but tries one last desperate attack. He runs at you, screaming and drooling like a rabid dog. Let's go ahead and hit him as hard as we can. What a great move! You dodge the rage-induced attack of the dwarf and respond with a hook to his jaw. The stonecutter, now bent over on his knees, exhausted and aching, lowers his guard for good and gives up, asking for the end of the brawl. You have won this fight. The dwarf, now overwhelmed, won't be creating any more problems in the tavern. Let's go ahead and talk with him. You ask the stonecutter why he's become so quarrelsome in the tavern. He bluntly says that he wanted to give a lesson to all the long-legged sons of a gun that he met in the inn. His daughter wants to marry someone who belongs to the tall races, and he won't accept it. Only a dwarf, one of possibly noble stature, and a noble stonecutter is worthy of my daughter. That's inbreeding, man. We probably shouldn't do that. I'm not going to extort him for money. That seems like a dickish move. He already took an ass whooping. Like, we might as well not even do that. Let's leave him alone. Let's follow the young man. You run outside and look for him in the alleys, but there's really no trace of him. You return to the tavern. You get close to the counter, and the innkeeper timidly pops out of his hiding place. He's very happy that you solved the problem and wholeheartedly shakes your hand. Yay! We got reputation. Thanks to you, the tavern is now safe from drunkards and scoundrels. Without the continuous brawling, the inn can go back to its tranquility and recover its respectable customers. We have a new unlock, and so now we have mastery over commoner. Okay, so we get +1 to our improved attribute. So that means we get a +2 now? That seems pretty rad. I think it's retroactive. We probably don't get it right now, but I think retro's coming back at the moment. I see a lot of synthwave and 80s stuff happening, so I'm of the opinion that maybe it's okay. So we've got our region news, bulletin number 1 and bulletin number 2. There's a little bit of reading to be done inside of there. And it looks like we did our job. We don't have any dead individuals right now as a part of our whole thing. I assume that this is the leaderboard right here that we're ready to give a look to. I think, so that's when we want to retire right there. Can I increase my stats at all? Like, am I ready to improve or get better? It looks like we can be a commoner as of right now, and we haven't unlocked any of the other stuff. That right there is just a book. Just a book. Our story is yet to be written. Let's go back. We've gotten ourselves 50 gold. Can I afford anything with that 50 gold? Can I get like a helmet or anything like that? I think our gear already came with a helmet, and so I don't think that's anything I want to look into. As far as weapons go, we've got the Ruby of Raw Power right there. We've got Red Giant's Ale. It looks like that gives us +1 to power. Or we can become wiser, or we can become better at talking. You can also get Conqueror's Whiskey right there. Let's go ahead and buy a power flask real fast. The drinks bonuses will end, or they last till the end of our next quest. Okay, cool. Drinks and trinkets are mutually exclusive. A group of bandits are pestering people. Okay. We've got a missing child. We've also got an unarranged marriage. I wonder if that boy is who we were looking for. Goblin invasion. We've got enchanted waters. We've got laments in the cemetery. And I don't think we can click these ones down here. I think the gold denotes how hard they are, so it's probably better for us to take the lower ranking ones and move our way up. The visitors have been terrorized by spine-chilling lamentations the last few days, even during the day, looking for an adventurer willing to take care of the situation. Sounds good to me. I'm an adventurer, and oh, am I willing. You have no idea what I am down to do. We're ready to murk a fool on behalf of money and renown. That's what we're... Oh, this place looks sinister. That's not good. You arrive at the cemetery as the sun begins to set. The massive gates are open, so you make your way through, leaving the tall boundary walls behind. This is the biggest, most ancient cemetery in the Reign. It looks more like a park with all this vegetation and architectural structures. Only the nobles and leading figures of the court are buried here, or anybody rich enough to afford a tomb. You proceed on the gravel until you arrive at the caretaker's hut. Let's look around a little bit. Statues of ancient heroes, majestic mausoleums, and simple tombstones are in the ground. Judging by this, everything seems to be normal. You don't hear any laments or even see the immense chasm in the ground that you've heard about. The caretaker will know more about it. An old bald man with a crooked back opens the door. "You're here for the lamentations job, am I correct?" he says, eyeing you. You nod. "Come inside." The hut is dark and dusty, perfectly in tone with the cemetery. You take a seat, and the caretaker immediately explains the problem. "It's a common thing to hear faint laments or even feel immaterial presences, but since the chasm opened up, the situation has gotten terribly worse. There's a spirit of a woman in particular that emits excruciating shrieks during the night. I've been doing this job for years, so I'm used to it, but now that she's begun screaming even during the daytime, she's scaring off all the visitors. I've no intention of getting close. I've only been able to learn that her name is Amita. I'll show you the area in which she usually appears, so you may do what you deem necessary." What about the chasm? "It appeared a few months ago. Swallowed up the central area of the cemetery, along with the old caretaker, apparently. I'm his successor. Nobody gets close, but they're right not to. Just looking at it will give you the chills. Worry not, our bothersome spirit isn't in that area," he says, smiling. Where's the spirit at? He says that you can find her near a big mausoleum close nearby. You can wait for nightfall there, as the spirit always comes out at night. You chat a little bit more until you begin to hear the lamentations. There she is, right on time as usual. The caretaker walks you to the door and shows you the way to the mausoleum, then waves you off. You make your way towards the destination and arrive a few moments later. On the mausoleum stairs sits an ethereal figure, slightly luminescent and despairing. "Who are you?" "My name is Amita. I'm an unlucky woman who has lost her loved one, and I cannot find his spirit," moans the wraith, sobbing. She looks like a woman past her youth, with long curly hair that falls to her chest. Alright, so what's the... I'm pretty sure she already told us, asked and answered and all that if we were in a courtroom, but... "My love, I can't find him. He died some time ago, and he had promised to find each other in the afterlife. But his remains must be too far away. I can't find him. Please, bring him to me." "What do you want me to do?" Her gaze lights up. "Find his remains and bring him to the ossuary. That way, we will finally be close, and I'll be able to find him. His name is Ghent, and he was the offspring of a small noble family of the Reign. I'm sure you will not have any problems finding him." After pronouncing those words, the spirit slowly vanishes into the air, and you return to find the caretaker and report what you learned. "Done already," says the old man, as you explain the spirit's request, and the caretaker has no objections. "Nobody will get angry if we move a pile of bones, fellow. Follow me. Let's find where this Ghent is buried." The caretaker leads you towards a small closet. There are huge tomes on top of shelves high up on the walls. "These are the cemetery logbooks. All of our guests are written down here," he says, giggling. In a corner, you notice a broken glass case. The pieces still scattered on the floor. What's up with the case? That? No idea. It was already like that when I got here, and no. These glass on the ground don't bother anybody. They don't pay me to clean the place, just to guard it. While you're listening to him, you hear a soft gurgle coming from the corner of the case. You turn and look in the direction, and then it's not there anymore. A big tome is inside it, from which comes a black, weird haze. It gurgles and falls on the floor. What's in the tome? You get closer. The cover seems to be made of leather, a very dark shade of purple, and there are strange carved symbols on top of it. Suddenly, a sibilant whisper echoes in your mind. Hello, adventurer. I was hoping you would notice me. I feel a connection between us. Maybe you'd be interested in an exchange. The book is talking to you. That isn't exactly normal. Not at all. Meanwhile, the caretaker seems to not notice. What's the offer? Right. I knew you were going to listen to me. My name is Zabras, and a long time ago I was banished from this plane of existence. I'm longing to come back, but I need a creature that can give me a part of his vital energy to do it. If you accept this, I will give you part of my power in return. It'll help you understand the mysteries of the world, and all you have to do is touch the tome to start the exchange. Let's do it. I'm a risk taker. You place your hand on the tome and feel the energy flowing inside of you. You start to feel weaker, but your mind is more responsive and stronger. Great. I can't get more energy than this at this moment, but we will meet for another exchange. Adventurer, I need to rest for now, but I'll be seeing you soon. Having said that, the voice stops talking and the tome suddenly disappears. Are you all right? The caretaker says. He's looking at you a little worried. You reply you're okay and sit down while the old man goes back to his work on the shelves. Here he is, shouts the caretaker after searching for almost an hour. His tomb is on the outskirts of the cemetery. Those are the cheaper spots, he continues while hastily reading the biography. Stabbed to death, and at a young age as well. That's a shame. The old man closes the book and asks you to follow him. He picks up the necessary tools to exhume the corpse, and you make your way to the tomb. You quickly find the property of Gent's family, a small piece of land enclosed by an elaborate fence. Various tombstones fill the ground, some of which with little sculptures on top, or others with a slab of rock placed horizontally to protect the coffin below. You find the name you were looking for on one of those, written on the epitaph, divided by death, united by it, G&L. The caretaker begins his work on the tomb. As you look around, your eye falls to the tomb next to Gent's. It's pretty simple, just a tombstone and a name, Lynn. You look at Gent's epitaph one more, G&L. Could that be referring to Gent and Lynn? Though you don't believe she's part of the family, you wonder why her grave is right there. You quickly survey the others, but that's the only name that seems out of place. Your thoughts are interrupted by the caretaker who calls out to you for help in removing a heavy slab of stone. Together you manage to move aside the massive slab that encloses Gent's tomb. What you find surprises you. No coffin, but an empty hole. The caretaker is speechless and moves his lantern a little bit closer to shed more light. You see a large opening on the side, which looks like an entrance to a tunnel. Now I understand, the old man intimates in solemn tone. It must be ghouls' handiwork. Those bone gnawers have looked to find more bodies. And where do you think they took them? I'm almost certain they have an underground hideout. I haven't seen one in a long time, but bodies keep disappearing. You gaze upon the empty tomb a little longer. What do you intend to do? Well, let's go. We're going to venture down into the hole and have an adventure. Let's do this thing, although I think that sapped my strength, but I think my drink got rid of the nastiness. You tell the caretaker to go home. You'll go down the tunnel and find the ghouls that plunder Gent's remains, after which you'll return to him. The old man seems a little worried, but doesn't really insist. After all, you're the adventurer. He slowly vanishes as you light a torch and begin wandering through the tunnel. After a while, you see some light in front of you. You must be close to the ghouls. I'm not that close. They're kind of like an acquaintance more than a friend, really. You take a peek around the corner and spot two skeletal figures muttering between themselves. They're in some sort of excavated room in the ground from which spread several passages. You see some coffins stacked all around them, scarcely illuminated by some candles in the corner of the room. Gent's coffin is probably one of those. Let's wait for the moment to surprise them. You wait patiently for an opportunity, which doesn't take long to arrive. One of the ghouls wanders off while the other one begins poking around in the coffins facing away from you. Let's go ahead and capture it for interrogation? I don't know. You leave your hiding place and swoop towards the undead. You grab him firmly, and while it wriggles, you order it to tell you where Gent's body is. The ghoul is frightened, and while shaking, indicates a row of coffins on the wall. I'm gonna knock it out. You hit the undead to knock it out, but nothing happens. You try again, but apart from groaning in the pain, nothing. You try once more with nothing but strength, but instead of losing consciousness, it just starts whimpering. You begin to think that maybe the undead can't be knocked out. Alright, I'm gonna let him go. Now that you have what you were looking for, you don't really need him. It doesn't seem like a threat, so you let it go. It runs away in a flash as soon as it's free. You quickly inspect the coffins in the room, looking for Ghent until you find the one with his name carved on it. You open it up to make sure his remains are still there. Ghouls are greedy for bones, and afterwards you drag it and with some effort to the grave and heave it to the surface. Let's go back to the caretaker. The caretaker's happy that you found the coffin. Good, now let's go to the ossuary, and this story may end once and for all. Though it'll probably be best not to tell the family we've moved him there, as it's not a very prestigious place. What about Amata? Alright, let's see what we know about Amata, says the caretaker. The old man flips through the dusty tomes for a while. You're about to lose hope when, finally, the old man exults, satisfied. When he reads, his mood darkens a little. This explains why she was buried in the ossuary, he says, raising his sight. She was a noble woman, but disgraced herself by committing homicide. The caretaker goes quiet again as he reads the next paragraph. Oof, and you'll never imagine who her victim was, he yells with eyes wide open. None other than Ghent that we had exhumed. She stabbed him 12 times. By the gods, what a tragedy. Afterwards, she was imprisoned and then executed and buried here, obviously. The old man closes the book and looks at you, waiting for you to say something. Let's bury his remains in his tomb. I don't think he wants to be trapped with his murderer for all eternity. Yes, perhaps that's for the better, agrees the caretaker. You fill the gap created by the ghoul's tunnel and put the coffin in its place, then close the tomb with the stone slab. What do we do with Amata's spirit now? Will it continue to lament for all eternity? I'll take care of it. You reassure the caretaker that you'll take care of her. You make your way back to the mausoleum, begin calling her name loudly. Suddenly, you hear her behind you. Have you found my Ghent? I can't find him yet. The spirit looks at you with melancholy eyes. I will tell her I know the story. Repent and find peace. With a very calm and condescending tone, you became aware of the recent events between her and Ghent. Amata initially pretends not to know what you're talking about, but when you get to the specifics explaining that maybe it's not in Ghent's best interest to be reunited, she bursts into tears saying that it was an accident. You patiently listen and then convince Amata to let Ghent go so she can find peace. The wraith seems to consider for a little while, then slowly dissolves. Satisfied with your diplomatic skills, you return to the caretaker and assure him there won't be any more problems with the spirit. You receive your reward and go back to the inn. Yay! Another one done. We've survived yet another quest, although it has left us... It's left us a little bit scarred. Hopefully good things will happen. You've just stashed a new racer background. This means that it's now possible to confirm its unlock when you retire this adventurer, thus making it available for the next playthrough. Oh, we got the cleric now. That's pretty cool. And $65. That's nice to have. Back to the inn we go. Let's have a look at some of these jobs over here. On this side, we have a missing child. We have an unarranged marriage. We have a goblin invasion. We have enchanted waters. And rats in the basement. The hounds are searching for a volunteer to do a routine job. We are too busy to take care of it at the moment. We would highly consider any help. This is an original message from old Rennie. Giant rats are infesting my basement, eating all my supplies. Help me. Okay. It looks like I've got an unlock. This button is only available for a commoner adventure and lets you use her commoner skill. You can change your background to any you've previously unlocked and stashed. Use it whenever you want, or just don't. Okay, so I can become a cleric? Yeah, why not? I'll be a cleric. That seems to have nerfed my stats pretty heavily. I appear to have lost some of my stuff. Did I get a new base from it, maybe? I don't know if I got a new... So what did I get as a benefit to becoming a cleric? Like, maybe a +1 to my... Maybe we got a +1 to my talking skills. I don't know. Let's go find a missing kid. Off we ride. It's time for us to go through this basically colored world. I don't even know what you would call that. Like, it's not monochrome. I don't know what you would call that aesthetic design. I don't know the word for it. You arrive at the village, one of many scattered in the kingdom. For decades, nothing dangerous has happened, and the people live in peace because of the Treaty of the Four Races. In the square, there are people working. Let's go ahead and go into the tavern and see if we can find anybody. Well, let's walk the outskirts first. Exploring the village doesn't require a lot of time. There's some houses, a big storage building, and fields around. Let's check the storage. In this big building are stored the crops and valuables of the community. A guard is sleeping next to the door. You come closer and hear noises from the back of the building. We'll check the back. You see a goblin trying to take a big bag out of a window, and he didn't notice you. Let's kill him. You hit him in the head, and the creature is gone. You take the bag, and inside, there's food. Let's hand the bag over to the guard. We're going to be honorable. The guard appreciates your act and thanks you. Exploring the village doesn't take a lot of time, and that means that there's only the fields left. You arrive in the fields. The wheat is tall, and some birds are perched on some scarecrows. Short distance away, men are working. Let's look for traces of the kid. You don't find anything useful, just crushed grain and some messy footprints in the mud. Let's go ahead and ask the men. You tell the kids play with scarecrows often, or they play hide and seek in the wheat, but they didn't notice anything weird that night. Okay, let's try again. You can't find anything useful. Alright, well, let's go back. We're done here. We'll go back to the square, and we will talk to men about what they know about a missing child. They know little about the disappearance. The only useful information you learn is where the child lives. Okay, let's go to the tavern and ask around. It's a little place. 2 men are talking at the counter, and in the corner there's a man drinking alone. Let's go talk to the innkeeper first. The innkeeper's happy to see a new face in spite of recent events. He offers you a beer. What about the disappearance? Really a tragic event, sighs the innkeeper. Unfortunately, nobody really knows much. The kids play near the fields, and it's the first time something like this has happened. Okay, let's ask if the family has enemies. No enemies. In a small village like this, we help each other. No one could do something this cruel. What about the outskirts? It's a small village, just some houses, storage, fields all around in the woods. Past the woods were dangerous, but thanks to the hounds, they're safe now. He says that you can go talk directly to one of those heroes, pointing at the old drunkard. The old man drinks the last sip from his bottle. Says he deserves it after the victory in the woods from a long time past. Alright, well, what about the kid? He's sorry and too old to go into the woods searching for him. It's there somewhere. He's thirsty when he wants to be asked about the woods. Go figure, he wants free stuff. Let's get him the best wine he can get. The old hunter takes the bottle and takes a big sip. Bless you. Then he starts telling a story. Many years ago, strange creatures, who were half dog and half man, lived in the woods and began pillaging the villages, killing and stealing. Some of the hounds and I gathered together and hunted them. We killed several. They weren't really that bright until we found their lair. They were launching a final attack, and we launched a final attack and found the mind beyond the attacks, an evil wizard trying to achieve the unknown. So, we didn't really care about his plans. We burned his hideout. In battle, I lost my sword, stuck in the back of one of those creatures who managed to escape. It'd be great to recover it, but who knows where it is now. He stops for a moment and seems lost in his memories. It's just a sword, but it has the memories of my glorious youth. By the way, if you look for the kid, the woods is where I'd look for him. Evil always returns. Saying that, he folds his arms on the table and lays on them with his head. After a while, you hear him snoring. He had many things to say. Let's stretch our legs. You go back to the square. Let's see if maybe... Let's talk to the men at the bar. They're worried about Timmy, but they know nothing about it. You should ask his parents. Okay, let's ask his parents. His parents are covered in tears. They looked everywhere near the village. I will see if I can ask how he disappeared. Last time he was seen was in the woods. He was playing with his friend Lucas, who lives near there. Asking Lucas might be useful. All right. Your parents let you enter. You ask the boy what you want to know, and he says that they were playing hide and seek near the fields. It was almost sunset, and when Lucas called Timmy back to go home, he did not answer. All right, well, take me to the fields and show me exactly where they are. He reluctantly agrees to follow you. You arrive at the fields. The wheat is tall and the birds are perched. All right, so what happened? The kid looks scared. You calm Lucas down and you encourage him to tell you what happened. He said something happened in the fields. You heard Timmy scream and some birds fly away, so he ran home. He shows you the place he talked about where he saw Timmy the last time, then ran home. Let's check the place. You're near the scarecrow. You see footprints in a track leading into the woods. A simple scarecrow, so kids must be playing near here because there's lots of footprints. We follow the tracks and reach the woods. You hear the birds singing and notice a swift movement in the bushes. A path goes straight into the front of you. You also notice some tracks heading into the trees. Let's follow them. You lost track and walked directionless into the woods for hours. Finally, you see a cave, but when you get close, you were attacked. So we're in combat. Skulls indicate the combat difficulty, and they range from 1 to 3, very hard. The red bar indicates your enemy's hit points. Every time you attack, your enemy will deal damage to each other simultaneously, so be careful. Once per quest, you can use your special attack during a fight. This can be used without receiving any damage from your enemy as a free action. The special attack could unlikely kill either your opponent in one shot or do nothing. It's more likely, though, to deal random damage to your enemy. You can always run away if things get tough, but it'll have consequences in some sort of way. Often you'll have some intermediate actions between run or attack and run away. Those actions won't trigger simultaneously attacks, so be cautious. They could go wrong. Okay, sounds good. Let's use an attack and just kind of see what happens. Bop. Oh, these guys hit me hard. Damn, run away. You try to retreat, they are beating you. You return the next day with the bravest men you could find in the village, but the creatures are gone and the cave is empty. The only thing remaining is a bloodstained shirt. So we lost our morality. We lost some renown. We got a little bit of honor, but, like, I was gonna die, man. Like, I can't go into a fight and die. That's not what I'm trying to do right now. He hit me for half my health bar in one strike. It was a little ugly. It was not the best thing that I've ever seen. It was a little painful. Can we redo the missing child, or is that, like, done? I guess it's done. Well, this game is called Just One Line. If you liked what you saw, you can get the game down below in the description. I'll have a link for you. This was a sponsored video on behalf of the devs, and I hope you enjoyed it. Had a fun little story to tell. I will see you all next time. Don't forget to leave a like on this video. It supports the channel more than you know. Helps out a ton for content creators, and I'll see you when we next meet. My name is Splattercat. I show off indie games on the internet and sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile, so you don't have to. Today we were checking out Just One Line, an adventure narrative game that definitely, if you like reading, it'll probably strike that itch for somebody out there. Go check it out. Give it a look, and I will see you all later. Hi-do, and take care out there, everybody.